In this podcast, I'm going to help you understand meter and a lot of the poetic terms on this next lit terms quiz. So let's start. Let me go into full screen here. There we go. Understanding meter. The definition of meter is that it is the recurrence of rhythmic pattern and regularity in poetic verse. So it's the rhythm that you create in a poem by the way that you arrange words depending on the stress that we naturally give them. So let's take this basic example. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. So that's the typical way that this little poem goes, but typically the third and fourth lines people arrange slightly differently. Well, to make it fit, you have to have the right number of syllables and you have to have the stress or the accent in the right place. So let's see where the accent is on these words. So really you have roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. So this is a regular, meaning it's a consistent pattern. And you can see we've got a dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. That's how we listen for the accented syllables and try to figure out a poem's meter. So one of the terms you have is accent, and that refers to the stress or the emphasis that is given a syllable. It's not about a word, it's about a syllable. So notice the word roses has two syllables, and the first one is stressed. Roses are red. Now, poets often cheat a little bit on syllables. Technically, we say violets, and that would be three syllables, but they kind of sometimes cheat that, and they'll just squeeze it together. Violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. Okay? One of the difficulties that students have is they always say, I don't know where the stress should be, or how do I know what is stressed and what isn't? It all looks the same to me. Well, it's important to note that our natural pronunciation of words dictates the accent or the stress that a word is given, even in a poem. You can't force an accent on a word that doesn't sound natural. So for instance, if you say the words father and retail out loud, you'll notice that you naturally stress the first syllable. Father, retail. We don't say father or retail. We say retail. So in both words, the stress is on the first syllable and the second syllable isn't stressed. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Say the words perform and enrage. You can hear it even when I said it. It's the second syllable that we tend to stress. Perform. Okay, perform. We say the word per, but there's more emphasis on the form. I was enraged. Again, the rage gets more emphasis than the N. So in these words, the stress is on the second syllable. So we would say that this is an unstressed, stressed word. Now, patterns of stress is how, or by creating patterns of stress, occurs when the poets alternate unstressed syllables with stressed syllables. The natural accent on the word has to be observed. So you have to play around with the way that you choose words and arrange them if you're trying to create a particular pattern. So the example here is if you want to create the unstressed, stressed pattern. By the way, that is the pattern that most closely resembles conversational English. If you were to record your natural speech, you would find that you tend to speak more in an unstressed stress pattern than a stressed unstressed. Okay? Usually it's when you're trying to emphasize something that you speak in a stressed unstressed, but just natural speech typically is unstressed stressed. That's just a fun fact. All right, anyway, If you want to create an unstressed stress pattern, you can't begin the line of the poem with the word father because father puts the stress on the first syllable. So that is why sometimes you would see poems beginning with the word oh, because then they could squeeze in an unstressed syllable before they get to that first stressed syllable. So let's take a look at an example here, and I just made this up. This is not a poem. Um, Father, I forgot my textbook. Please do not be angry with me. It was such a busy morning. So imagine that's the poem. There's actually a pretty consistent pattern here. You'll notice that the stressed and the unstressed syllables alternate every other one, and I began with a stressed syllable. Father, I forgot my textbook. Please do not be angry with me. It was such a busy morning. So you can see that across these three lines, it's consistent. I did stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed. Okay? Morning is a word that you would naturally um, stress the first syllable. We don't say morning, we say morning. Same thing with busy. Say I'm busy. You don't say I'm busy. Please can usually go either way. Angry, we say angry. We don't say are you angry? No. Forgot, I forgot. The emphasis tends to be on got. Textbook, you could probably argue that that one might be stressed on both, but there's usually more emphasis on the first one. Okay, let's try another example. What if I wanted it to be unstressed, stressed? Well, now I've got to play around with the words that I chose. So I put an oh, Father, I forgot my book. I hope that you're not mad at me because I had a busy day. So trying to keep the same meaning, but I had to change some of the words around to make it unstressed, stressed. So now if you look at it with the color red are the stressed syllables. Oh, Father, I forgot my book. I hope that you're not mad at me because I had a busy day. Okay? All right. I think this is the end of the first podcast. I'm going to do 3 separate ones so that it's a shorter